Late one night, my Mexican colleague, Aiden, and I were on our way to Monterrey to go on a radio program. We were invited to a live AM radio broadcast at midnight, where he brought a brief message from the Word, and I sang a few songs. Well, we were just leaving our town of Cadereyta when suddenly this beat-up, old pickup truck comes out of nowhere and pulls out right in front of us, swerving all over the highway. We tried to keep our distance, assuming the driver had been drinking. We followed at a distance for a while, but he was going kind of slow, and we were running late, so I decided to try to just go ahead and pass him. I pulled out and flashed my high beams to let him know I was passing. I hit the gas and quickly put some distance between us and the pickup, and we continued on our way. We had to go about 7 miles on a deserted stretch of highway between the towns of Cadereyta and Villa Juarez. At that time of night, there wasn't much traffic at all. A couple minutes later, the battered pickup caught up to us and started flashing his lights. We decided to ignore him and just keep going. Then all of a sudden, we hear the sound of a siren wailing. We looked all around. No police, no ambulance, no fire engine in sight. This guy had a siren on his truck and was trying to pull us over. Well, in Mexico, there are narcos and bandidos who pretend to be cops, pull people over and rob them. Naturally, we were starting to get a little nervous at this point, so we started praying that we would make it to the next town, just a few miles away, where there would be more people and some civilization. This guy stayed right on our tail the whole way, siren blaring, swerving around, flashing his lights. As we got into Juarez, there were a few more cars on the road, and we began to feel a little safer. That is, until we got to the first red light. At this point, the truck squeals around us and cuts us off right in the middle of the intersection. Two guys then jump out of the truck with guns drawn. If you thought we were praying before, we were really praying now. The men went on either side of the van and told us to get out of the vehicle. By this time, there were a number of other cars around and plenty of witnesses watching the scene. That's when it occurred to us that these guys might not be bandits after all. So I rolled down my window just a little and asked, "Is there something we can do for you guys?" The guy on my side said, "Get out of the car." I said, "Who are you?" He said, "Judicial police, get out of the car." Now, the judicial police in Mexico can, as their name implies, take the law into their own hands. They are infamous for their cruelty and even torture. But these guys just didn't look like cops to me, especially since it was obvious that they had been drinking. So I said, "Can I see some ID, please?" He said again, "Get out of the car now." I said, "Listen, just follow me to the local police station and I'll be happy to do anything you say there, okay? Let's go to the police station." He said, "If you move the vehicle, we will open fire." I said, "Okay, right here's fine. But how do I know you are really an officer?" He holstered his weapon and pulled out a tattered ID card identifying him as an officer of the Federal Judicial Police. I then showed him my ID and he started asking questions. "Who are you? Where are you from? Where are you going? What do you have in the van?" I explained who we were and where we were going while the other guy was interrogating my colleague on the other side. I said, "Listen, if you don't believe us, just let us go, and in a half hour, tune into News Radio 660 AM and you'll hear us on the air. I'll even send you a greeting." He didn't much care for that suggestion. The other guy said to my friend, "So, you're a pastor? Okay, what does Psalm 58 say?" Aiden didn't know offhand, but he started quoting every other passage of scripture he could think of. Cars were driving around us and these men kept grilling us with questions. But within a few minutes, they seemed to relax. Then something happened, something very strange and unexpected. One of these guys leaned into the van and actually started crying. He said, "Please pray for me. Some of my family are Christians, but I'm not. I've been running away from God. Would you pray for me right now?" So here we are, in the middle of an intersection, in the middle of the night, praying with an officer of the Federal Judicial Police. Talk about unexpected opportunities. We got their names and shook hands with our new friends, and although we never saw them again after that night, I know I will never forget them and our brief midnight encounter on a dark desert highway. Thank you so much for listening to this true story from Memoirs of Mexico. If you enjoyed this story, or if it was a blessing to you, please feel free to like and subscribe to my channel. That would be a blessing to me. I upload a new true story every day. If you like to read, you can also order Memoirs of Mexico in paperback or ebook on Amazon.com. There's a link in the description. Thanks again for listening.